Hey guys, welcome to Sopi Mix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para conan abrir. Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde escutar. Sopi Mix Studio, powered by Qredits. Botou ideia? Qredits educa e prepara a abo para ser um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 florin. Bira para mês donho com Qredits. Subway. Passa na Subway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Subway. Swingmasterz. Organizando events, conferences of weddings. Mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen. Swingmasterz está claro para ser boa festa um êxito. Swingmasterz. E agora, Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba está apresentar.
Good afternoon, good morning if you just woke up.
Happy weekend, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. We're closing the month soon. What day is it today? It's Saturday, 21st of May. And we have already crossed the first quarter of 2022. Sponsors.
Yes, thank you to Subway, Eat Fresh, Swingmasterz, and Qredits for allowing the Sopi Mix family to have all of these shows and for this amazing studio and for us to be live.
Yeah, and today we've got STEM learning, and basically we're going to be talking about what we have been doing in the last couple of months. Sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Little misconfiguration. And we've got our colleague coming in, so be prepared, audience, that we'll be doing a little, I guess, sweeping camera change. Right? Tanya will be coming over. So, Jean-Luc, STEM learning.
Brief introductions.
Oh, excuse me.
So, my name is Jean-Luc. A lot of people know me as Lucky, and I am a student at the University of Aruba with an interest in tech and games my entire life.
Bruce Harms here, digital instructor, digitalization, and overall enthusiast of technology as well. And a shout out to everybody yesterday at the Curso de Empresario. Congratulations to everyone at the Chamber of Commerce getting their diploma. It was super fun. It was a super cool group.
Hell yeah.
And we wish you the best of luck with your entrepreneurship. So, STEM learning.
STEM learning.
Yeah.
Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And I guess it has been. It's sort of a umbrella term. I mean, is STEM learning a curriculum?
As far as I understand, it's not usually seen as like a curriculum, but more as in things that people should keep track of to try to study.
Yeah. Well, I do believe things are changing rapidly, and I mean, I went to Montplaisir, and so basic education was, I guess, algemeen kennis. They say that in Dutch. So, you know, like sort of a base foundation of knowledge. But nowadays, things are moving so fast, and there could be an issue if we don't address the gap between what kids are learning and what's happening around them. So I think STEM is sort of a reaction to that. And if I can quote what I found from a simple DuckDuckGo search, okay, the importance of STEM education is intricately tied to society's technology and scientific advancements, right?
Of course.
The National Science Foundation maintains that students will need a strong foundation in STEM subjects in order to be successful in the information-driven age. Beautiful. That sums it up, doesn't it?
As far as I understand, yeah, there's no way to put it more simply, really.
Yeah, and we had a event in St. Nicolas. Yes, St. Nicolas, congratulations to the team and Full Stack Vision. That's us. Jean-Luc is a member and in the board together with me, and my tesorero, my treasurer, is coming over. And it was amazing to get a little bit of validation because we had this distinguished guest, Hans Hoonstra, and Digitale Intelligentie. We'll be posting links on what happened there on our because we are partners. And yeah, he stressed one thing that moving forward, we need that DQ, digital IQ. So he's calling that DQ. Not disqualified, but the DQ needs to be worked on, and I'm happy to report that we're trying to contribute.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about our contribution for STEM learning because that's what we have. We have arucoderdojo.org, right? So I'm going to ask our producer to pull at least our logo up, and then we're going to talk a bit. Yeah, so... we are Aru Coder Dojo, and we've talked about this before, but we've actually now been active for about 6 months. So Coder Dojo is a global movement of free, open, volunteer-led coding clubs where young people aged 7 to 17 can explore digital technology. Coder Dojo's mission is to give young people around the world the opportunity to learn to code in a social and safe environment. Thank you, producer. Let's pull that off for a second and expand on that and tie that to STEM, because what I think STEM is also about is exposing the information at a much, much younger age.
Yes.
So, for example, in the United Kingdom, they have a very aggressive approach to bring programming to younger ages because in the past, programming was given at school in the higher levels. Right? So for you to start learning programming, you have to be, past high school and be in your 20s, unless you're some of those, I started from small because I'm a computer geek kind of thing, right?
Unless it's of interest or talent. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, Coder Dojo is that platform. So let's explain a bit. So Jean-Luc, so that's the logo. That's the logo.
The official Coder Dojo logo.
That's the official Coder Dojo. It's a yin and yang with a 0 and a 1. So that's kind of funny.
Binary.
It's binary. The whole all computing happens on binary. Maybe one day we go quantum. And I'm a champion. And then the next tier is mentor. And the last tier are the students, and they're ninjas. It's super fun. And I like how the play of words is dojo, a temple of learning. So I kind of want to ask to pull up the Champions Handbook graphic so we can kind of see the styling of the coderdojo.org. So Coder Dojo has many members all over the world, thousands.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting on the graphic.
So what did it take for you to become a champion?
Yeah, well, so we went through an onboarding process. So last year, we sent out an email saying, hey, we are interested in opening a dojo. And then there's an onboarding criterions, and they will ask you, okay, who you are, why do you want to do it, what are your credentials, and most importantly, where is the venue of the dojo? And it seems I tried to do it once at the office. I had an office, and it did not get accepted.
Oh.
Yeah, it did not get accepted. They asked to change the venue because we need a safeguarding sponsor, right? So before I go a little bit deeper on the safeguarding sponsor, I want to wait for Tanya to arrive. Tanya is, she's well-versed. What's interesting that once you go to the onboarding process, you get a lot of learning materials. So can you, I'm still looking for the handbook slide.
Producer.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Beautiful. Yeah, so this is the Coder Dojo. You got to go open the door for 1 second,
beautiful.
people. And Jean-Luc is going to take care of Tanya, and I'll be explaining a little bit. Yeah, so Coder Dojo listeners, this is a slide of the Coder Dojo Champions Handbook, and in the bottom you can see a bunch of kids with laptops, and what they are doing, they're actually solving problems, right? And it's super fun. Music is being played, and it's sort of a hectic party, but we have some structure. So this is what a Coder Dojo session would look like, and we love the styling. And let's seat our distinguished guest. You can sit over there, and the audience will see how quickly we can put people in front of a camera and a microphone. And welcome, Tanya. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late, but
No, it's okay. Life happens.
beyond my control.
So, for introductions to the listener, this is my strategy officer, Tanya Cruz. She is also the treasurer of our foundation.
Welcome.
Welcome. And Tanya,
Thank you.
can you explain a little bit regarding being a Coder Dojo champion? How's it? What's that like for you?
What it's like for me? Well, I think number one, it's a opportunity of a lifetime to be able to be guiding kids. I'm not as good as you both are in things of technology, but at least, I'm contributing and being part of the growth and being part of giving, I think, these young children the opportunity to explore, to express, and to have a chance to do something that maybe they never had a chance to do before.
Right. And I mean, how has it been? So let's explain a little bit. So all three faces here, we're all Coder Dojo champions, and we rotate. We have a Coder Dojo in San Nicolas in the library every other Thursday, and we have a Coder Dojo in Oranjestad every other Tuesday.
That's
Yeah.
correct. From
Right.
2:30 to 4:30.
Yeah, so we're gonna push. Tanya, can you push the microphone, the whole platform closer to you, so it becomes a bit easier? Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. We need
Speak
to
into it so it's nice and crispy and clear.
nice, crispy, and clear.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There
Yeah,
you go.
yeah,
There you
there
go.
you
Wait. How's your headphone levels now?
Now I can hear myself, yeah.
All right,
Yes.
beautiful.
There you go.
Thank you.
Everybody for your patience.
Thank
So
you.
Jeff, let's go through the slides together so we can all talk about it. We're all Coder Dojo experts. So here we go. This is we have our two locations. One, like I said before, one in San Nicolas and one in Oranjestad. And here we go. We're getting amplification. Thank
Beautiful.
you, Jeff.
Thank you.
And, I photoshopped this very local looking girl. I have to admit, I did put the Aruba there so we can, tie her to the island. But let's move to the next one if we can. So this is the official Coder Dojo website. We are the first two in the Dutch Antilles. So if you go to Coder Dojo now, you look for Aruba, you will find our sessions and you can become a member. So in short, if you are interested, all you have to do is go to coderdojo.org, look for our dojos and sign up. It's free. So let's move a little bit further. Yeah, so this is an amazing map. What do you think? What do you think about when you see this, Tanya?
Well, I think for an island as small as Aruba, to be able to have in less than a year, to be able to have two Coder Dojos, one in Oranjestad, one in San Nicolas, I think it's something amazing.
Yeah.
Not only for what we have accomplished as what we're doing for the kids, but for the island in its totality, no?
Exactly. So I'm pretty proud of it. It was an idea we had almost a year and a half ago. And here we are just doing it. And we're getting major support. Let's move to the next slide, please. So, for example, here you can see in the middle picture, this is the example of STEM learning. And we're super proud of it. So here the kids made a fishing game using the Raspberry Pi. And that's where the Coder Dojo can tell itself, hey, we've got the engineering, we've got the science, and it's working with computer circuits, working with voltage, and look at these age groups. We've got here you can see a picture on the right of Ethan. That's Jean-Luc's little brother, and everybody's just having a blast, and we're super proud of that, right, Tanya?
Oh yes, definitely. The kids come in, they express themselves, And it's a big fiesta.
It's a big fiesta. And what's amazing is that we've seen kids walk in and the first 10 minutes, they're programming in Scratch.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see what else do we got. Here we go. So we print every month for free the Magpie Magazine.
Oh yes.
Which is
a special thanks to Eli.
Yeah, a special shout out to Ellie. She prints them every month. They are considerably big books, and we bind them, and kids can take them home. We print them all the time, and we print books every month. And we highly recommend go check it out. It's available for free online, and go see the amazing making projects these kids engineer. Let's move on a little bit, and then we're just gonna. Yeah, so I wanted to shout out to the whole island. This team is doing a refurbishing project. We've already received, we're going to receive 4 laptops, and we'll probably bring them over here to talk about it, what we did to it.
Very nice.
But we will be spreading these computers to ninjas that need them.
Yeah.
It's like when I gave you my laptop.
Yeah, you gave me your old Windows 98, and we basically installed Ubuntu, and now it's an extra computer at home. Ethan uses it, and we always bring it to the dojo if somebody misses a laptop. But if you know about people that have some legacy computer technology, please let us know. It is for Aruba. And we have plenty of kids that are hungry to learn and just simply don't have the hardware. And we're about that.
And also one thing, if we have companies that has these old cameras that they used to use for security.
Yes.
We're gonna need them in the near future.
Yes, exactly. And to be honest, Linux is an amazing learning platform as well, and actually can be regarded as a skill.
Yes, definitely.
Right? So we want to start early and expose kids to different operating systems. And later on, we're going to try to get kids to have certification opportunities in these platforms. And I think we got like 3 more slides to go, and then we can free wing this session. Yeah, so we started doing this. I'm really interested in programming art, and we have an amazing project coming up where we can create generative interactive art. And this is what we will be proposing for our ninjas as a challenge.
I mean, some have done it already.
Yes.
Yeah, they've done it already. We've seen some amazing things. But what we're excited about is to let these kids be able to expose and experience being an artist at a young age. And most kids are artists already.
Yeah.
Drawing is part of expression. And I think drawing is the beginning, but maybe code could be a paintbrush, right?
Of course.
I mean, Tanya, did you make some art in Scratch?
Did I make? Yes, but I didn't get too far. I got the cat to meow like 10 times and go in circles and go forward and go backward. But going to that part, I mean, we have some amazing kids. They made some games that works on seconds, and you know, it's just amazing to be able to put the program out there. And you know, like we always say, it's for free. We do this, you know, from our heart, because we do believe that the kids are the new generation. They're the next generation, and we have to give them the tools so they can spread their wings and fly.
Yeah, and then we believe it's a basic skill. It's a human right to get the opportunity to learn it. And just to add on, most of the success stories out there, for example, like Rwanda, I keep coming back to Rwanda, they basically implemented an aggressive push to STEM learning at an early age, and now they are the leaders of internet technology in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, and engineering. They've built this amazing drone platform where they send blood all over the hospitals, and it was created by them, by their own community.
Imagine what you can do if you just give them the opportunity.
Exactly. So we're almost done with the slides, and then we're just gonna hang out. So we're processing. I just bought a book. I'm learning how to program creative ideas. So this is a program where you can use code to create images, but it is specifically designed for teaching. right? So it's not really, hey, let's learn this. You
teaching?
can get it. Yeah, it's a teaching platform because, and this is where Bruce becomes a bit more technical. In the past, programming is, I'll give you an example. Yeah, let's learn how to query from the MySQL database so we can print the information on screen. Well, no, exactly. And Tanya gives the amazing face for that. She's giving me the eyebrow, like, what did you just say?
Speaking Chinese.
But it is a bit of Chinese, as in it's tech talk, and that's not the kind of things that inspire a young mind.
Yes,
and a young mind will see, hey, I do this, and then I can touch the screen, and a star is growing and fading, they're experiencing a true result. And that's why I think these kinds of programs, kind of platforms that are for education, have to be exposed more aggressively, and that's what we're trying to do. So you have another one called Sonic Pie. I've coded drum beats on that.
Yes.
But now I'm into this because music is tough. It's hard to be a musician coder. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for all the slides. And so let's hang out a bit.
I wanted to talk a little bit more about what it's like to be at the Coder Dojo, because you've been talking about what it is and what you do, but less of the atmosphere, because it can be confused as just another extracurricular school club where you have to pay for. As Tanya has previously mentioned, it is utterly free. Free to sign up, free to show up, free to stay.
Exactly. No, I mean, it's what I think is from the beginning till end, like, because when we started too, we were sitting and waiting for the kids to come. This will happen in Oranjestad, and the kids come in. Number one, like Bruce says, you have to register online, and then when you come to the library, of course, we introduce ourselves. We have to let them make them feel at home. They have to register again on a piece of paper. Those that are under 12 years of age have to come with their parents or somebody that represents them. And we put music, and then we have already some printouts of what they can do. And little by little, you get to know. Like the first time, you have to introduce yourself, tell them what we're going to do, let them feel at home, and let them be. And little by little, as they keep on coming back, it becomes familiar. And one thing that I find to be amazing is, before every end of every session that we have, each child has to talk to one another, and explain to them what they made, how they make it. And that is also allowing them to socialize and also allowing them to team up. And all those parts is parts of growing. Of course.
Yeah. And a very, very interesting thing that wasn't really made clear when we first started working on this project is that we don't teach kids in like a traditional manner. It isn't like a classroom where they sit there and just listen. No. It's an environment that they learn through their own interest, their own pace. We simply facilitate and guide them and give them the room to go at their own pace and do what they want. If they have no idea, we can tell them what they can do and we give them the options. But for the most part, the students, or the ninjas, excuse me,
you're excused,
arrive with their own idea. They come with their own interest, and that allows for them to better learn, in my opinion. We don't sit there and hover over their shoulders and tell them what they have to do. They guide themselves, and if they need help, that's why we are there.
No, I think that that is a very different way compared to when I also went to Montplaisir.
You heard it.
Yes,
Okay.
I did. And nowadays these kids, they are more expressive. They will tell you what they want to do, what they don't want to do, what is their interest. They I don't know if I have to say that they stand more for themselves and they're more outgoing, more outspoken compared to when we were kids. When we were kids, they put the thing in front of you and go do it. Now they know, like one of them wanted to do a scratch for bailarina, another one with a butterfly. The boys want to make a game. They want to do this. They want to do that. It's each of them. They are a world on their own.
Yes.
And I think that's a nice way to allow them to express and let them be who they are and who they want to be.
And that's exactly how it is currently at the Coder Dojo. That's the environment that we want to create. And
I'll have to admit, it is the challenges are, I guess, retention. So keeping kids to keep coming back, and that's something we worry about as champions. You know, we can't. You know, we can't. Even though it's fun and we have to let them do their own thing, we also have to give them incentives. So we've given
Which
away
we do.
pizzas. We've given away even a computer to a mentor. Shout out to him. How's he doing? He broke his arm. I hope he's doing okay. Darcia.
Yeah, we
Right,
miss
shout out
him,
to
we miss him,
Darcia.
we miss him.
Dacian.
Dacian, thank you. Shout out to Dacian. And, you know, let me remind us to give our big thanks to a couple of very special people at the Biblioteca Nacional, right? So, Tanya,
Definitely.
you're our strategy officer. You're the...
Astrid Britten, definitely a big shout out. You said
Right,
to
shout
her.
out, yes.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for believing in the project. And of course, our dear friend Gina Yisanfuk, Jing Jing.
See, shout out to Jean Jean.
Oh, yes, Jing Jing. Thank you very much. Also to Judith in San Nicolas. And also to El Señor John.
The big boss himself.
Oh,
yes,
yes.
John is a very important person for us. And these are people that they are really helping out, thinking, always checking on us, coming in, how's it going? And we have their 1,000% support. And we hope to get more, right?
Definitely. And also, excuse me, I don't remember their names, but the girls that print out the
Tanchi
Tanchi?
and Valeria, they help
Valeria.
out. And I forgot the other
Vivian.
ones. Vivian, yes.
And Evelyn.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we always have to print out materials for the kids. You know, it's
The
expensive.
last moment, like, can you help
Yeah,
us?
yeah. So when we so let's go through a session. So usually we arrive way earlier.
Yes.
The session starts at 2:30 in both locations. On paper, we have to be there at 2:00.
Yes,
But,
we're there way before.
But we're getting better. And what we do, we set up. So we have a screen and we have a speaker and we have to put some music to it. And then we lay out our book station. We have a station with materials that people can borrow. So it fits with a library, right? And we also put out the Raspberry Pi
That's
and
correct.
the STEM learning materials. And then the kids start coming in and we have a little introduction. And we try to come up with something.
Exactly.
And we sometimes give attendance awards, mentoring awards, and then we start the session and they just go have fun.
And one thing is that's very, very important. Whatever we do, we always motivate them, and whatever they're doing, how far they reach that day, it's all good. It's all
Yeah.
great. It's
Yeah.
all positive.
The-
They're all champions at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
what's amazing is that I always tell people we're 49% coding, 51% community.
Yes.
And it's amazing and they get nervous when it's presentation time,
Exactly.
right? So
If you allow me, I would like to do also a big shout out to all the parents that comes with their kids.
absolutely,
Yeah.
And,
absolutely.
that show up every single week and to believe in the project and believe in their kids and give us the opportunity, Jean-Luc, Bruce and myself, to be able to also guide and learn, because what we do, we also learn. As they are learning, we are learning.
Absolutely. We've all done Scratch. I've done enough so I can guide people. But it's really what makes this platform work is that if we are asked, hey, I don't know anything about coding, can I run a dojo? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And look, it helps that you can guide kids on finding solutions. So for example, in San Nicolas, one of the kids was making an animation of a bear running behind a woman, and he made that work, right? So here he's doing science and Elias. And when he was working, I said, why don't you make her say help? And we didn't know how to do it, so we YouTubed it. And then we found the YouTube. I showed him how to do it, and then it was that code that you needed. And coming from someone that solves problems that way, if I need to do something on a website and I don't know how to do the CSS code, I look for it. I don't know it by heart, but I can figure it out. And we're forgetting sometimes. I feel that we need to teach kids also how to be resilient and how to be, figuring things out on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the internet can be an amazing place of learning. It can be. And I think what Coder Dojo does for us all, it has a structured way, but it's not too rigid, right?
Exactly.
So we got asked a couple of weeks ago, so Bruce, what's the curriculum? I'm like,
There's none.
I don't know, right?
As we go.
I wanted to step on that, yeah, because we've clearly mentioned the beginner's programming language Scratch multiple times. For those who don't know, it's a very simple coding language. Imagine like Legos and building blocks,
Right.
where you just stack little blocks with meanings behind it and put them in the right order, and you have a program, right? And it's amazing to help kids and adults alike understand how programming works.
Exactly.
But that's clearly the introduction. But that's not the only thing that we teach at Coder Dojo, and it's not the only thing that you can learn. If you want to learn networking, then you can come and learn about networking. If you want to learn how to program in Linux, you can come and you can program in Linux. There isn't necessarily a rigid thing that you come here to learn, so long it's related to tech or STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This is the place for you to come and learn, and we will help you facilitate that.
Yeah, and then we've got some exciting things coming up. We've got some amazing people that are helping us with materials.
That's
and
correct.
That's very important, but we're going to have to keep that a little bit in the box. But what's important for Coder Dojo and this team is that we have enough things to get kids inspired, right? So we're going to expand the inventory pretty much with much more hands-on engineering. And to touch on the STEM fact, when they make an animation, they're doing mathematics because they're using seconds and coordinates, and then they have to do a mathematical equation for the movement to fit their goal. So a lot of people underestimate the creativity necessary, but using mathematics to get it done, right?
And I think also, like with all these new toys we're bringing in for them, I call them new toys.
They are new toys, absolutely.
It keeps them. And the only day I still remember the day we just show it to them what we were planning to bring in. They were super excited, and they can't wait for these toys to come in so they can play with them. And sometimes maybe they don't even realize that all these toys are creation that they can create things with them themselves, and working in team.
Yeah, and that's another thing we may have forgotten to mention is that we buddy them up sometimes. So the whole point, it's just like in judo, you have to get comfortable getting to know new people and collaborating.
One thing too, I want to thank, Dios mío. Okay.
Who?
You, I want to thank you.
Oh.
Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc, very much for all the times you've been there, your patience with the kids. You're fantastic.
No problem.
And I think you're amazing with all the knowledge that you have, the things that you bring to the table. I think it's wonderful. Thank you very much.
That's what I'm studying for.
Yeah, well, thank you very, very much.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto? Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think anytime somebody puts in the time, and we have a couple of people that have done that, we're super appreciative. I mean, time is probably your most valuable asset in your life. And if you believe in this, I do believe there's a lot of gratification in helping people.
Yes, definitely.
But I've also learned a lot, and there's incentives to learn. So, for example, the Raspberry is an amazing tool, and a lot of people, just to remind people, Raspberry Pi Foundation makes a single board computer. That's what we saw. Can we bring back that slide, producer? With it was a slide with the pictures of the Dojo, or the one of the Magpie. Both are okay. But yeah, so the single board computer that we see in the middle there is basically the beginnings of any project idea.
Yeah.
Examples, Tanya mentioned, we want some old security cameras. We can hook up the security cameras to the Raspberry. That Raspberry becomes a brain. And we could use software that is so light, that runs on Linux, that contributes to the sky watching to the NASA's database. This is all in the Magpie Magazine. And yeah, we're going to take that on. And over here, this picture in particular is about, you can go back to the Magpie producer. Thank you so much. There's a sensor on it right now. And that sensor, we connected it to Scratch.
Yeah.
And it basically, you had to grab it. And if you pull a little bit up like a fish hook, you catch the fish.
Oh.
Yeah, we did that. Oh, you weren't there on that session.
Sadly.
Yeah, so imagine the possibilities if you can scale whatever the connections, the peripherals are to the Raspberry. Another example is that that can be made into a drone. Because that can become a brain for a drone because it has the capacity to have a gigahertz, a Wi-Fi running, because that's how drones work. They run on 5.0 and 2.4. One for the camera, one for the connection to the brain. And the computer's powerful enough to create the propellers. So the propellers do an algorithm to keep it in the sky, right? It can also become a drone vehicle with a camera. And the camera can be used for navigation. And right now, by the way, some exciting news. I've been geeking out lately on the Raspberry Pi Pi Hut because we got to buy some toys. But did you know that they sell a camera module? So all our cameras of today have a CCD or CMOS sensor. Well, the Raspberry Pi has a new one. It has, just like our cameras, Tanya, we have the Ricoh GR with a, let's call it a certain size of a sensor from probably Sony. Raspberry Pi has that as well now. So we can buy a Sony sensor for $50 and we can connect that to the Raspberry.
Okay.
And then there's a new Raspberry, the Raspberry Zero, that's a really tiny computer. And a shout out next door to our good friends at the skate shop,
Reseed.
Beyond Precision. We're going to attempt to create a digital cartridge in an old 8mm camera.
Oh.
And I've been checking that out. It's amazing. It's amazing. People have taken that old film, you know, the shoot with your hand, and it makes that horrible sound.
Yes.
And they've created a cartridge with the camera in it. You put a sensor on the lens, and they can program. When you use the button, it activates the sensor, and you get digital files.
Wow.
But it looks just like an old 8mm camera. Why? Because the lenses were not that high quality, actually. So it gives that vintage, blurry, and even the frame rate, because the shutter speed is actually, so if you use it, you can create those vintage-looking videos. And
amazing.
We should attempt to film.
Yes, I would like to do that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. I actually ordered it already, so it's coming in.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for telling me.
I'm the purchase manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we ordered that, and we'll probably work together with Beyond Precision next door right here. He has a plethora of old 8mm cameras, and we're actually going to have to target somebody here in Aruba for 3D printing. So we're making people. We're going to be making.
Well, anybody wants to help us to obtain this for the kids? I mean, we appreciate everything.
I really see a future where we can have fun repurposing old technology, and that's STEM learning in itself. And I think if we want to share the goal of our foundation, building a resilient island, repurposing, materials is green on one end, because let's not underestimate the problem of old hardware.
Yeah.
They end up in a pile in the dump all over the world. Not only our dump, but that's a global problem that the computer industry overproduces. And
Definitely.
what was that forced obsolescence? What was it?
Planned obsolescence.
Yeah, planned obsolescence, where computers are not supported anymore. And then they go on the not use pile.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure on Aruba we have plenty of
non-use pile that we can use.
Well, not all of it, because we are running modern teaching software. But if it can run on the Raspberry, right? It can probably run on an old computer. We can repurpose that into the Linux platform. But again, at the Raspberry Foundation, what I love about it. They're creating all these simple easy to plug, reasonably easy, because we have that general input-output module on the Raspberry. It's built to connect things. And they've got cameras, they got lights, they got LEDs, they got buttons, and basically any idea you have, I mean, you can create it. Now imagine we can take that camera, take an old telescope, right?
Yes.
And we can create our own astrophotography camera.
Amazing.
And it's amazing. I've seen people actually create a auto tracker with the Raspberry. Yeah.
Tremendous.
And I've seen a guy put sensors on an old telescope and he just points it and it connects to software and it's accurate. So on software, in the middle of the day, he can actually point it in the right direction and he used mathematics for that. So
can you imagine how kids would love that? How they would enjoy that?
Oh, and I have good news. I didn't share it with you, but we've confirmed we're going to be talking to the Astronomy and Nature Foundation here in Aruba.
Oh,
but
that's nice, interesting.
Yeah, and let me tell you, they are pros. They've got these rigs. It's a technological marvel what they can do nowadays. I mean, imagine tracking the sky with 2 cameras, and they're taking 4-hour shots equivalent. But I'm so excited about that, and a shout out to Jairo. He actually showed me his rig, and I showed him a list we're making for our club. So we actually our ambition is to create a astrophotography rig, because I think it's a great STEM equivalent learning platform, because we can teach people how optics work, we can teach them about astronomy, we can teach them about gases, and we can teach them how to calculate tracking the sky. Then we can teach them how to run software that connects to the brain, and you have to code it as well. And on top of it, stacking images. That is the creative aspect. People can now target a gas with a filter on their camera and target hydrogen, for example, in the Orion Nebula, and then target with another filter, helium, and then you put the software in your computer and you know what you're doing, and then you stack them over and you get those super beautiful...
The colors.
It's amazing, but it is super technical. If you take a picture of that quality, you have done some amazing technological feats.
So
right?
you see how far coding and Coder Dojo and whatever we're doing can go. It's the sky is the limit. I mean, there's any kind of topic, anything you want to do, you can create.
I mean, I have to admit, there's a ninja in me that enjoys this. I'm like, I get to play with all this stuff all the time. Yeah, and what I love about the open source platform we've chosen, a lot of this equipment is accessible, right? So we just bought packages for, I mean, a Raspberry is about $35. By the way, they're out of stock.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. They are so popular that if you go to eBay now, you can buy them for $200.
Wow.
Because, and if, by the way, when we did our order team, I couldn't order more than 5. I wasn't allowed to.
What? There's a
5
limit?
There's a limit, yeah. Because if you think about it, they perform so well at such bottom price that if you think about it, we are kind of overpaying sometimes for what we need. I mean, if you want to stack images and do video rendering, you need a great, powerful computer.
Yes.
But everything else?
One thing I want to bring up is the day that we were at the dojo at the Biblioteca Nacional downtown. This gentleman, the father of one of the boys, he made something to measure the water.
Yes.
His house also with the Raspberry Pi.
He used the Raspberry Pi, and basically it's a sensor that sends a signal, and that signal bounces, right? So it sends a signal, just like an elevator, right? The elevator is actually, when you stop it, it opens, right? So he put a sensor that bounces information. So if it bounces certain seconds, he knows the depth, and basically he made his own peerput.
Yeah, control.
A post checker of his own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, on raw materials, it was maybe $45.
Wow.
And it connects to his phone.
Yes. On his phone. Tremendous. I thought that was just tremendous.
And going back to, for example, an astrophotography rig, there's actually something called Astroberry, which is a software where you can put that raspberry in the telescope or in your installment, and it will run the tracking on the tripod. It will run the camera that tracks and the camera that does the photography, and your laptop will connect to the raspberry, and it can do all that. It's an amazing feat that a little computer like that can provide such innovation.
I'm pretty sure you want to do that too, right?
Oh, I've done the research, but I have to give a big thanks to Jairo because they're gonna come. We have a show coming up, and I'm super excited. They've done some amazing things, but I want to keep that for them to explain what they've been doing. And yeah, when is our next dojo?
This Tuesday at Biblioteca Nacional, starting at 2:30 till 4:30. If you want to join, just go on the website, register, and we're ready.
arucoderdojo.org.
Yes.
.org.
And we have to give a little warning. Right now, the team can handle up to 20 mentors and ninjas right now. And we're getting close because we have 20 members, but right now they're not generating tickets. So register now if you can, because I am afraid that we might have to stop registration at a certain point. And of course we don't want to do that. So if anybody's interested to learn more, starting your own or becoming a mentor, helping us out, let us know.
Yes, definitely. We would appreciate that.
If you have any old technology that can turn on, but you don't necessarily use, we would really appreciate that you would kindly donate that to our initiative.
Exactly, our initiative. And more specifically, in San Nicolas, it would be cool to have a lot more laptops available.
Definitely, yes.
Because the interesting thing is, in San Nicolas, we actually have older kids that are coming, and they're a little bit more independent. Right? So at Oranjestad, we have many parents coming over with their kids. Yeah. But the rule is, under 12, we need a guardian. That's just the rules of us as a charter. Yes. And member of the international community, we do have kind of rules. We have to safeguard them first. But in San Nicolas, we actually have a bigger, older audience that visit the library. And interestingly, we use the computer room.
That's right.
In San Nicolas. And we actually have to share that because a lot of people use that computer room. It's an amazing place, really. And I'm super happy to say that the National Library is an integral part for support and community building in San Nicolas. So
definitely.
Don't even worry about exclusively coming to Aruco the Dojo, but it would be cool if you just go to the library, go check it out. It's they've got some amazing staff. It's fun. It's air conditioned.
Yes.
So it's and you know it's our heritage. It's something we should be proud of.
And not only that, it's free learning, no?
It's utterly free.
Yeah, and we'll be there and just drop in, right? And
that's right.
Tanya, how has it been for you to learn Scratch, and how has it been for you to be a champion?
Well, number one, to learn Scratch. Well, you know me. I am not that good in technology. I fight with myself, but I think it's an experience, and I am willing to, and I have to learn to keep up, because what is coming next is all technology.
Yeah.
And I'm really not that good on that. But the other question, being a champion, well, I'm very proud of being able to be a champion. I'm proud to be able to be part of a full stack vision and Aruco the Dojo, and to be able to help the kids. That for me is the most important thing. I mean, these kids, they're wonderful, and give them an opportunity. It's like, open the gate and let them play in the fields. Let them explore. So all in all, I am very happy to be part of it. I'm very happy to be working with two wonderful young boys, like both of you.
Thank you.
And
thank you for the young.
Believing that you both also taught me a lot. And ready to keep on learning.
And don't forget, own your leadership skills, right? So the leadership skills make it invaluable.
Yes.
And understanding what's going on. And Tanya's very good at the peripheral, right? So that's another thing. We have to keep a broad helicopter view on what's going on.
Bird's eye view.
And we're on top of things, but in a fun way.
Yes.
And I think with this message, we invite you. The links have been posted. I've already put all the links. We have our Facebook page. And
please go like our Facebook page and share it.
Yeah, like and share. And, we'll be doing some more shows. Tech Impact is part of the family. Sopi Mix is part of the Full Stack Vision Aruba the Dojo family. And we've got many more coming up.
Oh,
and
yes. We're growing. The family is growing.
The family's growing. And everybody's invited. So we're going to do the wave.
The sponsors.
Go ahead.
Yeah, formalities. Apologies.
Of course. I guess you're the editor today. The traffic manager.
The traffic manager, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you to Subway, Swingmaster, and Qredits for letting this all happen. Happy weekends. Thank you for watching.
And now for the
Thank you.
wave.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.